Oh God, Dane.
On October 8th, 2023, I decided to make a top 10 list of the most broken RPG party members taken from my tier lists. This kicked off a nearly 2-year journey of compiling lists upon lists of broken party members. And today, it comes to a close. I've pulled together 100 busted party members, which I will now arrange into a ranking. Now, when I say broken, I'm referring to these party members' ability to trivialize the difficulty of their individual titles. This can be done via glitches, overwhelming stats, specific builds, abilities or skills, jobs and classes, or unique equipment. Taking in the context of the game is important. This is not a comparison necessarily, but a ranking of how bad they break their own games. I've rewritten and re-recorded the sections from previous videos, taking out any small mistakes I may have made. I've also added an additional 40 party members to the roster as well, so I hope you enjoy. If you appreciate content like this and want to support me, head on over to Patreon. I post a Patreon exclusive video each month and have a library of my old top 10 anime videos from my previous channel. For only $1 a month, you can become a part of the Low Cloud Aim family and get access to hours of content. Anyway, I've broken this out into tiers, so let's begin with the B tier. In the final chapter of Live a Live, the Sundown Kid, with his ultimate attack unlocked at level 16, becomes the single best character in the game. His ultimate is long range, AoE, and hits for 999 damage. Throw on his best weapon and any challenge this RPG had goes to the wayside. Sakuya from Genso Wanderer Reloaded has 2 abilities, teleportation and time stand still, which when combined can be used to produce a nearly infinite amount of yen. Whenever a player encounters a floor with a shop on it and Sakuya is your lead character, simply abuse this trick to obtain enough yen to buy whatever equipment you want. In the beautifully hand-drawn title Child of Light, the harp-playing debuffer named Jen has a unique ability. She can slow enemies on the timeline as well as paralyze them. In boss fights, this is harder to pull off, but that aside, Jen still breaks most encounters. Sifren, in the delightful RPG In Stars and Time, has an intentionally broken mechanic. Because the game follows a sort of Groundhog's Day style structure, all party members' levels are reset at the beginning of each act. That is, other than Sifren. By Act 4, he'll be at least 20 levels higher than anyone else. Unfortunately, because of narrative, Sifren starts lowering his stats to hide his strength, which is a shame, but until then, you'll be one-shotting enemies with ease. Picking a character in the Trials of Mana remake isn't easy, but if you choose Angela, you'll be set. Angela is the resident mage of the game and comes with 2 of the best classes in Runeseer and Magus. If one chooses Magus, they will learn the best AoE spell in the game, Ancient Curse, focused on MP regain and infinitely spamming this spell to obliterate any difficulty. Knights of the Old Republic 2, also known as KOTOR 2, has a droid party member named T3M4. This little bot starts with a shock arm that can be used infinitely, inflicts decent damage, and doesn't require a roll to hit. Spamming this attack melts enemies in place and trivializes most encounters, especially if you give T3 items for regeneration. Mize from Thousand Arms is given the ability to summon about halfway through the game. Up until this point, all other party members competed for best controllable party member. But once this ability is unlocked, not only is the game a cakewalk, but Mize destroys any semblance of fun in this title as well. In Baten Kaito's Origins, you can produce EX combos with a certain combination of cards. Once you've acquired 3 specific late game cards, the protagonist, Sagi, will be able to perform the EX combo called Apotheosis, which damages the enemy while healing Sagi. With the right deck build, this can be easily spammed, making Sagi nigh unkillable. The Falcon Rune in any Suikoden title has always been broken, but Kika from Suikoden 4 seems to be one of the best wielders of this busted ability. If combined with a double strike rune, Kika will quickly dish out the highest single target damage in the game. She also has great synergy with the best party members, making her overall a broken character among nearly 70 recruitable party members. In the Final Fantasy VII speedrun, Tifa's Power Soul strat has become one of the key ways to beat this normally 50-hour game in only 6 hours. Once you're able to get past the run killer that is Demon Gate and get Tifa's Power Soul in Mount Nibble, the setup is simple from there. Power Soul's damage is doubled when Tifa's HP is in the critical. It is then quadrupled if Death Sentence is cast on her. If Death Blow is used, Tifa will inflict the maximum 9999 damage at low levels, allowing the player to burn through the second half of the game with ease. One Piece's turn-based RPG, One Piece Odyssey, stayed true to its inspiration. Luffy, the protagonist, ends up being the single best DPS in the game, which isn't much of a surprise. If combined with Brook's New World, Luffy's Gear 2 buff allows him to get to optimal damage in a single turn. Because Luffy is a power type in this title, he has an advantage over the hardest bosses, making him overall a damaging machine. Trails into Reverie doesn't have a character who can't be broken. At this point, these games are so busted that the fun isn't losing, but how bad you can shred the enemies. Now, I could talk about so many party members, but Rishia gets a special mention for her god tier stats and incredible abilities that not only draw in enemies and damage them, but can cast stealth while buffing your attack. Throw in that she's a bodacious babe, and you have easily one of the best party members, not only in this game, but in the series. Lucy from 2020's Fairy Tail is a fantastic and versatile party member available from the start of your playthrough. She can do decent damage, debuff, and heal. But once you reach the late game and Lucy gains the Spirit King summon, she is able to deal out the highest single target damage of any recruitable party member. As if that wasn't enough, her ability Metria hits every box in the battlefield, which gives her the highest damaging AoE skill as well. Kirika from Shining Resonance Refrain is a long-range DPS healer. This is usually a killer combo, but considering you have her through most of the game and her AI is fantastic, it just launches her up there. The reason she's broken is simple. If controlled, a player can skirt the battlefield, launching high damage attacks on the enemy from a safe distance while easily healing all your party members. With this strategy, there really is no difficulty to a playthrough. Jaster from Rogue Galaxy has a few strats that make him broken. First, if you boost Illusion Sword, you now have a long-range attack that hits like a truck. He has the best synergy when it comes to team attacks, with Supernova being the single best screen-wiping combo available. Recruiting Glenn in Chrono Cross is nonsensical, and most players will inadvertently pass on this behemoth. But if recruited, Glenn, with his endgame weapon, dual wield, and his double tech X-Strike becomes the single best green innate in this title, as well as the best party member overall. Clochet's Vanguard is needed to perform Artanelico 2's most game-breaking ability, Replakia, which buffs a single spell to the point where it will one-shot every boss in the game. This strat is actually accidentally required in one of the later bosses, as there is a bug in the game that will softlock your progress if you don't beat the boss quickly, making Clochet and Replakia not only a game-breaking strat, but one of the only ways to beat the game as well. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 has 25 characters available. Now, out of all these party members, the Green Goblin is the best, but you gain him pretty late. A character you can use from the get-go, though, is Deadpool. Deadpool comes with the best skill in the game, ironically called Best One Ever. This ability buffs Deadpool's stats, but once fully upgraded, it increases all stats by 30, turning Deadpool into an unkillable nightmare. There are many broken Pokemon in the original blue and red version. Alakazam, Jolteon, Chansey, and Mewtwo come to mind, but none of them have broken this Game Boy gem like Nidoking. Nidoking is used to beat the no-glitch, any percent speedrun of the game, and through his early evolution, absolutely broken Horn Drill attack coupled with Accuracy X, and a little luck, Nidoking is able to clear this RPG in 1 hour and 44 minutes as of the recording of this video. Going back to Final Fantasy VII, there is a notorious glitch where a party member surpasses the damage limit, dishing out an infinite amount of damage. This glitch is called the Overflow glitch and can be used to instantly kill every boss in the game. Vincent Valentine has the easiest time reaching this glitch, with his endgame weapon damage being calculated based on enemies defeated. Combine this with some master materia and you have an instant win button, albeit a ridiculous one to obtain. The Fire Emblem series has always given overleveled promoted units to the player at the beginning of each title to help with game difficulty. Most of the time, these units are the strongest in the game, but only one appears in 2 different titles. Marcus is a promoted knight available in the first chapter of Fire Emblem 6 and is available in chapter 11 in Fire Emblem 7. He doesn't have the best growth in the series, but can easily solo both games with ease. One of the final party members you recruit in Suikoden 5 is Ernst. Ernst is a panther that is locked to basic attacks unless you take a turn to transform. Once transformed, he has an ability called Resounding Roar, which unbalances all enemies, including bosses, with 100% accuracy. This can be repeated multiple times in battle, meaning that if one makes it past the first turn, you have an automatic win, no questions asked. In Grandia 2, Melania gains a late game ability called Spellbinding Eye. Spellbinding Eye has a 100% chance of paralyzing any enemy, including bosses. Hitting the enemy with this attack at the beginning of any battle essentially soft locks them and guarantees your win. Sure, it's not gained till near the end, but despite that, it continues to be a gold standard for game-breaking abilities. And speaking of game-breaking endgame abilities, Fina from Skies of Arcadia may have one of the best healing skills in RPG history. Lunar Light revives all fallen enemies, cures all status ailments, and fully heals the party. But here's the catch, its MP cost is relatively small, making it easy to use multiple times in battle. The original Hyperdimension Neptunia for the PS3 had a balancing issue when it came to the protagonist, Neptunia. Neptunia has a spammable attack called Neptune Break that allows you to walk through the entire title with ease. It hits all enemies for incredible damage and costs almost nothing. This was fixed in subsequent sequels and remakes, but continues as an in-game joke to this day. In 7th Saga, you can choose from a group of adventurers. If Valsu, the healer, is chosen, and given a little patience, this guy breaks the outrageous difficulty of this title. Valsu has an ability called Elixir. Elixir heals all HP and MP to a single target. The crazy part is that Valsu's MP cost is deducted before he casts Elixir. So if cast on himself, it's entirely MP free and thus makes him unkillable. In the original Diablo, the sorcerer had a game-breaking glitch called the MS No Stun. This glitch is activated when the player is damaged more than their maximum life, making the sorcerer unable to be stunned. If you allow the Black Death enemies to lower your maximum health, this state is simpler to enter. This allows a player to spam high-level magic without being disrupted, turning the battlefield into your plaything. The Wizard in Dragon's Crown may be the single best example of a glass cannon. The Wizard's squishiness is offset by his insane screen-wiping damage in Meteor. With the right equipment and preparation, the Wizard pretty much sets off a nuclear blast anywhere it goes. In Valkyrie Profile 2, the player pulls party members similar to a modern-day gacha game. There are a few for sure party members though, one of which being Dylan. Now Dylan is a tanky, heavy swordsman who can obliterate enemies. But why he made it into the broken list is what happens in the final arc of the game. Dylan goes from being one of the best party members to being the absolute best in the game, and he's just handed to the player before the final dungeon. Like, here you go, have fun. Final Fantasy XIII's game structure doesn't let the player explore until 2/3 through the game, but once the cocoon area is unlocked, there is one character that ends up being pivotal in breaking this title. Vanille is the only saboteur that gains the death spell. The endgame leveling strategy begins with her bringing out her summons to incapacitate the Adamantus. Then, using a team of saboteurs, spam debuffs and the death spell until your roughly 8% chance hits. With a little trial and error, you can easily level your party to max level in an hour or two. Speaking of characters used to easily grind the party to level 100, Red is a playable party member in the 3DS version of Dragon Quest VIII. She also has one of the best skills in the game, Blade Cascade. Blade Cascade hits all enemies randomly and has a high chance of critting. But what makes this so busted is how easy it makes metal slime grinding. Anytime you run into a group of metal slimes, simply throw Red out with Blade Cascade and you're almost guaranteed to knock out the mobs. The Atelier series is no stranger to broken strats, but these usually come in the form of items that can be used by any party member. This is not the case for Plakta from Atelier Sophie 2. Plakta gets a unique item called the Twilight Prism, which can be insanely broken if maxed out. For every point of mana consumed, Twilight Prism's power is increased by 1%, meaning that if you have 400 MP, you get a 1000 power attack, pretty much obliterating any boss in the game. Princess Toadstool, or Peach, in Mario RPG has long been known as a broken character. She has the only party-wide healing spell and with Lazy Shell can be unkillable, as if her support didn't make her useful enough. Once the Frying Pan is gained, Peach moves from top support to top damage dealer with one of the highest physical attacks in the game. Being handed a strong character at the beginning of a playthrough isn't uncommon, but in Suikoden 5 it's more common than you would ever believe. Out of the plethora of broken characters you receive though, Zerase is one of the best. Zerase comes at upper levels and with the single best magic rune in the game. Give her the right setup and she could solo every battle moving forward. Super Robot Tyson OG Saga Endless Frontiers Princess Kaguya holds one of the single greatest self-buffs in the existence of RPGs. This ability is called Miracle and increases her attack, speed, luck, evasion, and gives her drive and guts. By casting Miracle, Kaguya goes from competing with other party members to completely outstripping them. No pun intended. Star Ocean Last Hope's Raimi follows the typical archetype of broken Star Ocean party members. She's long range and can stay away from enemies while dealing out incredible damage on a wide scale. There's multiple iterations of this archetype, and almost all of them made this list. Rika from Phantasy Star 4 for the Sega Genesis has an ability called Saner. Saner buffs the agility of the party, making them attack first while also increasing their evasion stat. The probably unintentional part of this ability is that the stat stacks, making it possible, in a long boss fight, to max out your party's agility stat, making them untouchable. Throw on the fact that Rika is also one of the best damage dealers and has the highest natural agility of any character, and you have the definition of a broken party member. Alright, the next batch are just a little stronger than the previous, so let's move into the A tier. Yuri, the main protagonist in both Shadow Hearts and Shadow Hearts Covenant, has a strat that melts enemy HP. In both games, using the Fire Fusion, which has the highest physical damage in the first game and the third highest in the second game, combined with the Mind's Eye, triples the damage Yuri can dish out. In Shadow Hearts Covenant, once the third level of the Earth Fusion, and especially once unlocking Neomon, Yuri's damage only goes up. If all that wasn't enough, Yuri's fusions also let him be a healer, a magic DPS, buffer, and debuffer. Trails Through Daybreak introduced a new mechanic to the mix, which is shields. These replace your HP until depleted, and in the first and second game are a busted mechanic. In the first title specifically, Rosette's Cobalt Curtain becomes one of the best abilities of the title. Unlike the other two characters that can cast a shield on the party, Cobalt Curtain costs almost nothing, and with Rosette's incredible speed stat, can be cast every single turn. If you're following, this actually makes your party unkillable. Out of all the supporting party members in Unicorn Overlord, the single best debuffer and official game breaker is Selvi the Shaman. This is done simply by using the Dust Storm staff. This staff gives her the party-wide AoE debuff, Sandstorm, casting blind on the enemy. No matter which team you're running, Selvi's debuff almost always guarantees a win. In Diablo 2, the Paladin's Blessed Hammer, mixed with concentration, can destroy virtually any enemy in the game within seconds by simply spamming the attack button. If the teleport skill is thrown in, then the Paladin's virtually unkillable. Simple as that. Golden Sun Dark Dawn changed up the formula from its previous iterations by giving you multiple party members. One of these party members, and possibly the most broken character in the entire series, is Sveta. Sveta has Beast Form Synergy, which removes her ability to access Jinn, but gives her a substantial stat increase, along with heavy-hitting AoE attacks and a team-wide defensive buff. Aside from encounters like the final boss or any of the super bosses, Sveta will instantly obliterate any enemy. Raising an ultimate Digimon in Digimon World is not worth it. It takes hours and hours of grinding and trial and error. Most pass up on them and just use what they got. But if you acquire the Monzaimon suit towards the second half of the game, you can use it on the worst Digimon, Numemon, to make him into its ultimate Digi-evolution, Monzaimon, and all of that for free. Not only does Monzaimon have Thunder Justice, the best tech in the game, but he is boosted with some of the best stats as well, all because you found one little item. This will be a theme throughout the list, but long-range physical attackers in action RPGs can very often be broken. This is the case for yet again another Star Ocean party member. Marielle from Star Ocean 6 can spam attacks like Naked Ray from afar to obliterate any foe. Using late game combos, she will devastate even the hardest bosses without taking a single point of damage. In the original release of Final Fantasy X-2, the ability Trigger Happy that comes with the Gunner class combined with the late game accessory Catnip would dish out tens of thousands of damage, trivializing the hardest bosses in the game. In the HD remaster, this was nerfed severely, but it still stands as one of the hardest hitting attacks in the series. Yuden Chronicles lets you recruit tons of party members, but the single best character to get is the weird child pop star dressing scientist, Momo. Momo is a mage whose self-buffed magic stat not only makes him statistically the best character in the game, but also allows him to dish out the most damage of any character in this title as well. The only thing that Momo needs is MP. As long as he has that, Momo's ability to scream wipe anything and everything is just plain broken. There are more differences to male and female Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses, other than female Byleth being a babe and male Byleth looking like a character from Dexter's Laboratory. Female Byleth has access to the single best class in the entire game, Falcon Knight. This is a female-only flying class with access to a variety of weapons, increased mobility, and incredible damage. Consider Byleth's devastating unique weapon, and you have a game-wiping protagonist. Button inputted attacks have often been abused for high damage. Think Paper Mario's jump timing. But Valere from Chrono Trigger's love letter, Sea of Stars, shouldn't be left out of this discussion. Valere's Moonerang skill with the right timing is an instant win button. Sure, it takes practice, but if you pay attention, you will be able to dish out an infinite amount of damage. Legend of Dragoon's speed stat is one of the single most important stats in the game. It determines how many times you can attack before the enemy. Meru, the hammer-wielding blue dragoon, has the highest speed stat in the game. If given speed-enhancing accessories, she can attack multiple times before your opponent gets a turn. The fact that she's fast and has the highest hitting addition for upper damage, as well as the second highest magic stat for magical items, makes her the single best character in Legend of Dragoon. There are 5 playable characters in Vanilleware's masterpiece, Odin Sphere. Of all 5 protagonists, Mercedes is easily the most broken. Mercedes is the only long-range fighter in the game, and if given an unlimited POW potion and overload, she can wipe the floor with any boss. In the remake, the stun mechanic was removed when her POW gauge is empty, which means that you don't need a potion to fill the entire screen with bullets. The party members of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 have no truly differentiating feature until the late game. Once you've passed a certain point in the story, Noah, the MC, gets a unique skill called Lucky 7. This ability has the potential to break the game. Depending on which role he's using, Noah's stats and abilities will be buffed. Using the Defender role, Noah can make the entire party unkillable, allowing you to take out any super boss from this point forward. In both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, Aerith's ability to buff magic users breaks these titles. Arcane Ward and ATB Ward can be used to make devastating combos. Arcane Ward paired with Quakehaga can be a screen-wiping instant win button, but ATB Ward is where things get interesting. This ability combined with Yuffie's Brumo form makes Yuffie invincible, while being able to spam her best attacks. Oh, did I mention that Aerith can heal the party as well? The Disgaea series is built around the concept of broken characters, but aside from a late game monster, the single best unit in the first title is the MC, Laharl. Laharl can, very easily, be turned into a god that can walk through the entire story and post-game with ease. He has the best attacks in the game, and incredible stats that allow him to dish out millions of damage. Pamela is a returning character in the Atelier series and is a recruitable party member in Manichemia. She's a ghost with a unique ability different from everyone else. She is 100% immune to physical damage. Now the game tries to offset this with her low HP and defense, but this actually plays in her favor as well. You see, with her ability No Bowling, she can dish out the highest damage in the game. Pamela's HP needs to be low in order to use it, so you'll have to watch out for magic damage, but if kept in the red, she'll be grinding bosses down in only a few turns. Xenogears Saitan has often been cited as a blatant broken party member. This mainly comes down to his incredible speed, attack, and HP stat, along with his devastating sword later in the playthrough. His narrative strength is seen in gameplay, and with Saitan, the player can easily walk through the entire game. In the late game, others will catch up like Billy, but overall, Saitan is the strongest party member available. Ryu from the Breath of Fire series has always been incredibly strong, but by abusing the Master System in Breath of Fire 3, Ryu becomes a god. If you don't level up Ryu until you gain the Master Bunyan, he'll get a substantial speed and attack boost. Toss him on Deus in the late game and you have a physical powerhouse. If you build him in a way that boosts his AP, you can spam his Dragon Gene transformations for insane damage numbers. Shin Megami Tensei 3's protagonist is a completely customizable character for the player. This is both a blessing and a curse. If you don't know what you're doing, you could end up with a relatively useless MC at the end of the game, but if you focus in on a few stats, you'll have one of the most broken characters in the series. In the third title, the stat to focus on is Strength. In the late game, the Demi-Fiend gets the disgustingly overpowered ability Frykugel, which when combined with Focus, Might, and Endure, can one-shot endgame bosses. Speaking of broken MCs, Ichiban in Yakuza Like a Dragon has so many unique features that make him broken. First, he has access to the exclusive hero job, which is the single best job in the game. It has some of the highest single target and multi-target damage, while also having a revive and heal ability. But then you consider the prize for being the business management minigame, an ability that has you firing a satellite laser down onto the enemy, hitting everyone and causing stun, which is the most busted status element in Like a Dragon. Colette from Tales of Symphonia has a rather stupid exploit that is laughably broken. You see, Colette has the attack Parabol, which can stun any enemy, including bosses. Players literally have to choose not to use this to increase the difficulty of the game. Take control of Colette, spam Parabol, and you will walk through encounters with ease. Pokemon X and Y are disgustingly easy games. It would seem the devs didn't want new players to struggle too much. Case in point, being given Lucario with its Mega Evolution not even halfway through a playthrough. I don't know if a more blatantly broken character has ever been gifted to the player. Lucario single-handedly breaks whatever challenge was left of this game, being able to solo not just all gym leaders, but the entire Elite Four without even healing. Melia is the last party member you recruit in the original Xenoblade Chronicles. She's also a staggering mess of game-breaking strategies. First of all, Melia has the ability to softlock enemies by abusing the instant topple art combination, Spear Break, and Starlight Kick. This alone sends her to the top of the list, but she still brings more to the table. Her discharging spells allows her to complete chain attacks, maxing out their damage, and using an exploit, Melia can sleep, then knock high-level enemies off of a cliff on the Bionis' knee, giving you access to late-game weapons and skill books. Yeah, Melia is crazy. Cassie's Concoct skill from Octopath Traveler 2 is the be-all, end-all skill. It heals, restores BP, increases attack, inflicts devastating debuffs, the best of which would be poison, and, well, pretty much does everything. Cassie is the best character in the game and will enable any other party member to be god tier in the process. Final Fantasy Type 0 has multiple characters you can play as, many of which are pretty busted. In New Game Plus, Queen's unique equipment makes her unkillable, but in a first playthrough, Deuce is easily the top pick for most broken party member. First of all, Deuce's physical attack is 360 degrees, and its area of attack grows as you play your flute. This allows you to often softlock entire mobs of enemies. Second is her invincibility build. Given her avoid ability and the right setup, she is nearly untouchable. Finally is her support. She can both heal herself and her party, as well as send the AI party members into a stat-enhanced berserk state. The Tales series has no shortage of busted protagonists from Lloyd to Alphen, but Velvet has stood out as the best of the best. Velvet's mystic arts are incredibly fast and absolutely devastating, and with the right setup, she can infinitely combo any enemy that isn't resistant to stun. Swallow Dance, Gouging Spin, Harsh Rebuttal, and Rising Moon make up the best combo in the game, and if spammed with the use of her mystic arts, Velvet will simply slice her way to victory. Yuna from Final Fantasy X is a unique party member compared to all the rest. She can learn both support and offensive magic, and her celestial weapon is the easiest to obtain, but it's her summons that can be used to change the flow of most battles. Her very first summon, Valifor, can use Sonic Wings to delay the enemy's attack, pretty much getting in free damage. Later on, once you reach the mid to late game, she can acquire Yojimbo. Yojimbo's Zanmato can be used to insta-kill any boss that doesn't have multiple phases. This includes the hardest boss in the game, Penance. In Fire Emblem Awakening, the Children mechanic has been manipulated to create some of the best party members in the game. This brings us to the MC's child, Morgan. Morgan is the only unit that can be a third generation child, meaning every skill they inherit can be the best in the game. Have Chrom marry a Pegasus Knight unit to pass Gale Force on to Lucina, which gives you a second turn if you kill the enemy. Then have Lucina and Mel Robin, the MC, marry each other. This provides Morgan with the best abilities in Fire Emblem Awakening and makes one of the single best Fire Emblem units of all time. Etrian Odyssey is full of exploitable classes, but going back to the OG title, one of the craziest decisions I've ever seen in a video game was to make the medic one of your best damage dealers. Referred to as the combat medic, this class's passive that boosts his attack eventually leaves him with the highest damage in the game. Once it's fully leveled, your medic will gain a 3x boost to its attack. Throw on a maxed out Caduceus skill and you have a support unit that outperforms your frontliners. The HD remaster also improved the medic's support abilities on top of all that. Healing Touch now acts as a full party heal at level 3 instead of a 40% heal at level 10. And I would be remiss not to bring up the medic's Immunize skill that, if fully buffed, reduces all damage by 60%. Boosted, this resistance can reach 85%, making your team nigh unkillable. Alright, that wraps up the A tier. Let's move into the best of the best with the S tier. The Scout class in Valkyrie Chronicles is unstoppable, which makes Alicia, the best scout in the game, the single best party member overall. At maximum level with all her potentials unlocked, Alicia basically walks through every encounter with ease. Most levels can be beaten in 1 to 2 turns with her, making the difficulty of the late and post game a complete joke. I mentioned busted units gifted to you at the beginning of Fire Emblem games, and no discussion on this topic can be had without talking about Seth from Fire Emblem 8. Seth is available as a promoted knight at the beginning of Erika's route and has some of the best growths in the series. He can easily solo the entire title and has been considered for a long time now one of the best Fire Emblem units of all time. Choosing to play with him is tantamount to playing on easy mode. And continuing with broken characters handed to the player, in Breath of Fire 2, Blue is a hidden party member that can be recruited as soon as you have access to the whale. What's crazy is that at this point in the story, your party's level will be in their early 20s, while Blue is level 35. Now of course levels will catch up, but that's alright. Even with your party members powered up with the shamans, Blue still outpaces them in stats. Not just that, but she has access to all the offensive spells by level 39, and her special ability heals her HP to full health. Her stat growths are ridiculous, and all in all, she is just straight up the best party member. The wizard job from Bravely's second end layer is one of the first jobs you obtain. The ventriloquism ability, combined with the rain ability, allows a spell to hit 4 times. All of this can be unlocked early on in your playthrough, meaning that with a team of wizards you could dish out at least dozens of spells each turn. Later on in your playthrough, you can combine this with the Red Mage's chain spell ability to dish out over 100 spells in a turn. Casting a fully powered meteor rain with this method will do 5 times the damage of the final boss's HP. The single best undisputed Fire Emblem unit in this series is Har from Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Har is a high-leveled, pre-promoted Wyvern Knight that literally lets you walk through the entire game. Well, fly. He's impossible to hit, attacks with multiple weapon types, and has the ability to fly across the entire battlefield. Har doesn't even have to worry about archers until the late game, and by then, he'll probably be so buffed it won't matter. In Final Fantasy IX, there is a 9999 damage cap, which is reached by endgame via 2 methods, leveling and equipment or abilities. Quina not only has the lowest MP costing 9999 damaging ability in Frog Drop, but obtaining her blue magic by devouring enemies gains you the best abilities in Final Fantasy IX as well. In the mid game, if you eat a zombie well, you'll gain level 5 death. Go back to Gizmock Grotto and easily one-shot Grand Dragons, the second hardest random battle in the game, until Freya, another awesome character, has killed 100 dragons and can now damage for 9999 with Dragon's Crest. On top of that, you have Mighty Guard, which casts Shell and Protect on the party. Magic Hammer can be used to deplete Osmos's MP. This causes AI to wig out and can completely shatter the most difficult boss battle. Auto Life makes your party unkillable, and Night might be her single best ability. It casts Sleep on everyone with perfect accuracy. If your party has Insomnia, then you can easily softlock enemies and bosses who aren't immune. Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 have been used to wipe the difficulty of that game. Now, there are better blades you can acquire later on, such as Fiora and Poppy Cutie Pie, but the combination of having them throughout the entire playthrough, along with the late game Numa upgrade, makes them devastating. Pyra is the least useful, really only contributing the fire element and providing 3 extra equipment slots. Mithra's crit self-heal build makes you unkillable with the right setup, and Numa's ability to obliterate bosses in combos with multiple elements makes her 30 seconds of usage a moot point. Another party member whose healing makes it impossible to die is Cream the Rabbit from Sonic Chronicles. Cream has an ability called Refresh. Refresh restores PP to the entire party, including herself. At rank 2, it costs 8 PP, but heals 10. She can also heal the entire party, remove all status effects, and generally makes it impossible for the enemy to defeat you. If you equipped her with the Chow Pharaoh, her inputs will never fail, meaning that she will enable all other party members to dish out damage. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of broken party members in Vanillaware's Unicorn Overlord, but none of them compete with that title's true MVP, Yunefi. Yunefi is an archer who can hit every enemy on the battlefield. She also has the single best skill in the game, Glacial Rain, which she learns at level 30. Glacial Rain is a charged skill that by itself is incredible. It hits every enemy on the field for decent damage while also casting freeze. Combined with a lightning tome, she can also inflict stun as well. This effectively stun locks an entire group of enemies. If supported with other characters who can strip Yunefi of her wait time and allow her to repeat Glacial Rain, you have an automatic and practically unblockable screen wipe. Dragon Quest XI breaks the game into 3 phases, or acts. During each act, Different characters have different uses, but in the third act, Eric becomes one of the greatest damage dealers, well, perhaps in Dragon Quest history. The main reason for this is his late game builds and the correct setup. In order to do the most damage, it'll take 3 turns. In this strategy, you'll have to oomph him, hit the enemy with the status effect, and have Eric use his multiplier skill. If all of this is done and you've given him the best knives in the game, then Eric on the third turn will one-hit any boss. It's actually insane to watch this combo come to fruition. Sure, it's tedious and sometimes won't work, but when it does, it's so satisfying. The Persona protagonists on principle are broken, all of them. They have the ability, unique to them, to switch out personas, and this has been used to obliterate these Masterpiece RPGs' difficulty. Instead of going through each one, I'll use Joker from Persona 5 as an example. If you rank Carlene and Justine a few levels, you'll get the Special Treatment ability. This allows you to buy high-level personas, exploit the Grim Reaper for early leveling, and you can have the best personas in Persona 5 by the mid-game. Final Fantasy XV is a busted game. Now, I could talk about the main character Noctis, who is a beast in himself if you abuse warp strikes, but I'm actually going to talk about Prompto. It's obvious that the devs never originally planned on giving you control of a long-range character who utilizes a machine gun and rocket launcher from the beginning. This is an absolute joke that lets you blow up mobs instantly, racking up early game experience. But the bazooka isn't the only way Prompto is broken. Because a long-range character was never considered during development, many of the hardest boss battles can be cheesed by having Prompto stand out of attack range and slowly pick away at their health with his guns. I've mentioned Breath of Fire 3's broken master mechanic, and nowhere is this busted system more evident than in the party member Pico. Any character assigned to the Master Fall will receive HP plus 4, Power plus 1, Defense plus 3, Intelligence minus 3, and Agility minus 3 upon level up. Now, most party members won't benefit from this. The increase in HP is great, but the agility drop ultimately isn't worth it, as you will already be 15 to 20 levels up and have already built specific stats within your characters. That is, other than Pico. You see, Pico is a mid-game party member that you receive at level 1. Normally this would be a major issue, but with the Master System, Pico is a blank slate and you have many options here. Slap him on Fall immediately and leave him there for most of the game, switching him over to Bunyan in the late game for increased attack, and you have one of the greatest tanks in RPG history. Pico will be insanely slow, but his counter rate will be through the roof, and his increased HP and defense will make him nearly untouchable. If you throw him out in the front, he'll not only be a damage sponge, but will counter for some of the highest damage in the game. The final long-range Star Ocean character to make the list is Maria from Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Her starting skill, Aiming Device, is a beefy attack that deals good MP damage too, but Scatter Beam is what truly breaks her character. Scatter Beam, up close, does so much damage. It will practically beat the game for you until the post-game where you get the Energy Burst attack. On top of all this, she gains a ton of MP, so putting Convert damage on her turns her into an MP tank. Sticking with the theme of long-range characters that destroy the difficulty, Viola from Eternal Sonata may be the single best example in all of action RPGs. Not only can she skirt the battlefield and dish out immense damage, but she also has an AoE heal, essentially allowing her to make the team unkillable. The more distance she has from the target, the more damage she does, meaning that the safer she is, the stronger she is. Despite being nerfed in the PS3 version, Viola still manages to break that title wide open with the help of Falsetto. In Octopath Traveler, you have a merchant named Tressa. Now Tressa alone is a top tier character, but given the subclass Runelord Tressa becomes an absolute god. Not only will she become one of the highest damaging characters in the game, but she makes all your other party members broken as well. Transfer and Rest make for a BP battery capable of building up boost points for insane enhanced attacks. Abusing hired help and the runes of the Runelord will turn the other mages in your band of travelers into DPS machines, capable of doing 25 to 85,000 damage per attack. Mastering Sidestep along with the above strategies will give you one of the most broken characters in the game. Thunder God Cid, or Alandu, from Final Fantasy Tactics needs no introduction. Cid is a story character given to you midway through your playthrough. He has the character-specific class, Holy Swordsman. This gives him all the skills and abilities of the Holy Knight, Dark Knight, and Divine Knight classes. If that isn't enough, given the Excalibur, which comes with auto haste, he'll be casting some of the best spells, all while dashing around the battlefield outpacing the enemy. From the point you receive him until the endgame, Cid will crush every encounter. Final Fantasy X appears on the list a few times, but the one party member most didn't anticipate was Wakka. If you abuse different exploits in Blitzball and unlock his limit and final weapon, Wakka, using attack reels, can do the most damage in Final Fantasy X, and it's miles away from anyone else. You see, every time attack reels comes up, it's positioned the same way. So with a little bit of practice, you can get double attack each time. Couple this with his Loner Overdrive ability, and you can spam this devastating attack to instantly obliterate every late game boss in the game. The single strongest Tales party member of all time is Rita from Tales of Vesperia. Rita, with the right passives, can have undisrupted spellcasting and screen wiping spells. If set up with magic 1 through 4, spell end, lucky end, rhythm, and heavy magic with resilience to avoid spell disruption, along with her best accessory, Shizel's necklace, you have a nuclear bomb able to solo any battle in the game. Once you have that set up, spam Meteor Storm and Tidal Wave and blah 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 blah. There are many busted jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics, from the ninja to the mime, but the single most broken job in this game, and historically one of the best in the genre, is the Calculator. The Calculator's mathematics skill, paired with any offensive magic, has the potential to end an encounter in only a few turns. Mathematician allows the player to hit any space in the battlefield without moving, understand the enemy's weakness, and you have an instant win button. Okay, enough messing around. Get ready for the S+ tier. Now, I've already talked about how busted Aerith's wards are in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I haven't delved into Yuffie's exploits. Yuffie is a devastating party member whose doppelganger ability pretty much breaks combat. If built towards a magic DPS and with doppelganger active while being boosted by Arcane Ward, Yuffie can dish out the most damage of any character, period. Not just that, but if you use her Brummel form with Aerith's ATB ward, Yuffie becomes unkillable. And that's not hyperbole. She cannot be killed with this combo. And as her ATB will constantly be charging, if you give her the right materia, she can charge the ATB of your entire party, turning them into boss-destroying machines. At the end of the day, Yuffie is by far one of the best characters in the game. Raquel from Wild Arms 4 with the right build becomes not just your highest damage dealer, but overall the single best character in the series. Her ability Intrude allows her to take out mobs, and bosses absolutely melt to her single target damage. Once you get her late game weapons, especially her ultimate weapon, the gap between her and the other party members is simply unfair. Oh, wait, did you think that was all? This is S+ tier, baby. That's just if you play the normal way. If you bring over save data from Alter Code F and use it to boost Raquel's Lombardia or Fafnir weapons, which you can get early on with the right strategy, she will obliterate any difficulty this game has to offer. If you want to enjoy the challenge of Wild Arms 4, I'd recommend not doing this. The Trails of Cold Steel MC, Reen Schwarzer, will most likely be the single best party member in the Legend of Heroes series. In the first two titles, Reen can use Arc Slash paired with Delay Gems to indefinitely delay the enemy's turn. This has been abused to delay super bosses from ever attacking. Reen's Ogre mode in all four titles remains the single best buff in the series. Later, in games 3 and 4, Reen's Brave Order bust these games wide open. Divine Song and Dark Moon take away casting time for the party and raise ATS. Since Arts users are completely busted in games 3 and 4, if you're using party members like Emma, Muse, or Crow, paired with Reen, you have a perfect strat for abusing even Nightmare difficulty. Sailor Moon, Another Story, is an absolutely broken SNES RPG that many of you have probably never played. This game follows the well-known protagonist, Sailor Moon, and her magical companions. Each party member comes with their own advantages, but none surpass the straight-up busted Sailor Pluto. Sailor Pluto possesses the outrageous ability Stop Time, which stops all enemies from acting for 3 turns. This includes bosses and, yes, even the final boss. It has a 100% chance of hitting and costs 12 AP, which can easily be recovered via items or will be auto-recovered at the end of each battle. The Lord of the Rings, The Third Age, is one of the most exploitable RPGs you've never heard of. Idril, the elf, has an ability called Aura of the Valor, which is unlocked way too early in your playthrough. This ability can be cast on any party member, including herself, and lasts until the end of the battle. Aura of Valor will automatically heal a character upon death. Now that may sound busted as is, but the thing that pushes this ability over the edge is that once revived, the party member immediately gets a turn. If you're following, this means that Idril is unkillable. If you use her first turn to cast Aura of the Valor on herself, Idril will revive upon death, and can simply recast Aura of the Valor. Throw on her Frenzy ability that allows her to cast an additional spell, and you have an automatic win no matter what. Paper Mario's badge system has gone on to inspire multiple systems in other RPGs. The mixture of badge abilities have been used to produce some broken builds, but none are as notorious as Danger Mario in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. If you keep Mario's HP at 5 and stack up Power Rush badges, which increases Mario's attack by 2 if his HP is 5 or lower, and spam the jump command, using a little skill and practice, you can one-shot every enemy in the late game. And remember, this is only one way to make Mario busted. I mentioned Reen from the Cold Still series, who has been consistently broken, but one party member who fell off after the first 2 titles of the series, but managed to be so broken that she beat out Reen, is Fee Colossal. Fee has the highest natural evasion of any party member. If given the right courts, she can have a 100% evasion stat. Couple that with the fact that she has a long-range weapon and can counter from anywhere in the battlefield, and you have a character that can solo even the hardest difficulties. In Xenoblade Chronicles X, you can create a hero called Cross, and Cross is a god, given the right build. There's the Black Bane insta-kill build that uses the ray gun, or you can absolutely abuse the overdrive mechanic with specific setups. But the most infamous and probably the most broken is the Blossom Dance build, which can one-hit every single enemy in the game. As is common with Xenoblade games, the build is complicated to explain, but if you're curious, I suggest checking out Anel's video on the topic. Rudy from the remake Wild Arms Alter Code F has a game-breaking exploit that is fairly simple to set up if you know what you're doing. Once you acquire Jane, you can steal MP Repair, which sells for an outrageous amount of Jella. Use that Jella to put all upgrade points into Rudy's bullets, equip Rudy with the FP Advance, and, I'm not kidding here, using Gatling, he will one-shot every story boss until the final boss. This strategy is so insane considering just how trivial the difficulty becomes if employed. In the history of Final Fantasy, one class that has always been immensely exploitable is the Chemist. Riku from Final Fantasy X has an overlimit called Mix, where you can combine different items to produce a whole host of effects. This ability is broken from the moment you get her, and stays that way all the way to the end game if you know what you're doing. She has dozens of awesome mix abilities, like Ultra Null All, which makes you invulnerable to elemental damage while granting every single stat boost on your entire party. Chaos Grenade, which hits hard while casting Slow, Poison, Dark, Silence, Full Break, and Sleep on the enemy. Hyper Mighty G, which casts Shell, Protect, Haste, Regain, and Auto Life on all your party members. Hot Spurs, which boosts everyone's overdrive charge. Coupling all this with endgame weapons allows you to spam damage-focused overdrives like Wakka's Tackle or Tias's Blitz Ace. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the most broken game in the series, and Tora's custom robot girls, specifically Poppy Cutie Pie, make for the RPG genre's most broken character, period. Now the explanation is kind of hard, because in order to truly understand just how abusable the systems in Xenoblade 2 are, you need to, well, understand them. But needless to say, here's the short and sweet breakdown. Poppy Cutie Pie, unlike other blades in the game, is completely customizable. If built with the utmost damage and critical skills in place, her damage over time ability plus her own massively devastating attacks, along with the blade combo finishing move Eruption, will cause over 8 billion damage. Once unlocked, Poppy Cutie Pie can solo the rest of the game. Mael from Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the newest party member to join this list and has made it to the best of the best. There are so many ways to break this title with Mael, but almost all of them have to do with her virtuous stance, which buffs her attack by 200%. You can build her to do millions of damage with low HP, boost her normal attack to devastating levels, or build her into a burn stacking nightmare. In the late game, she can beat every super boss by herself in a single turn. Even after multiple nerfs, Mael's ability to break Clair Obscur from the moment you recruit her is mind-blowing. Every party member in Final Fantasy VIII is broken because of the way that title is coded together with Spit and Dreams. Irvine's fast ammo can be used to do millions of damage, Renoa's different abilities can hit max damage easily, Blue Magic has been used to abuse enemies, and Squall's Limit Break in the late game shreds through bosses' HP. But the two most notable party members are Zell and Selphie. Depending on Zell's health, you will receive up to 12 seconds to perform certain combos that are randomly given to you. But what you're looking for are the two shortest and most common combos, Punch Rush and Booyah. Given some practice and fast reflexes, it is possible to do over 100 combos. This can accumulate into over 1 million damage, which there isn't a single boss in the game that can withstand an attack like that. Selphie's The End can be used to end every encounter in the game instantly, including the final boss. There are a dozen ways to manipulate this attack into appearing, but one of the most reliable strategies for spamming this attack was on the original PlayStation. If you open the lid of the console after using her limit, the game will glitch and enemies will not attack, but the ability to scroll through Selphie's limit abilities will be intact, ensuring that the end hits every time without the enemy attacking you. In order to regularly get the end to appear in a normal playthrough, don't just have Selphie at low health, but give her a minimal status element, which will increase its chances of appearing. And that's our list. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be sunsetting this series for the time being, but perhaps we'll revisit in a few years. If you enjoyed this content, please consider becoming a Patreon member for only $1 a month. There you can catch my exclusive videos as well as join our community. Thank you to all my Patreon members, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Also, here are some other videos you might like. Have a good day.